From beautiful northern Vancouver Island, it's John Lovelace's Wings Over Canada.
The Nature Trusts of British Columbia and Wings Over Canada have partnered over the past several years on a number of documentaries. And on this week's Wings Over Canada, we do it all again. We discover the 100-year-old town of Telegraph Cove. And then we go out onto Johnstone Strait, where we discover a unique piece of property which has had a tremendous significance with the orca whales for the past 10,000 years. You know, as much as we like bombing around the country in the twin-engine Navajo, it's always a charge when we get back into the Cessna 185 amphibian and light up a fire in the big Continental 520 cubic inch engine and head up coast. And that's exactly what we're going to do today when we go up Johnstone Strait. Now there's a seat reserved for you, so climb aboard for today's flight on Wings Over Canada. Now you can't beat the Cessna 185 when it comes to seaplane performance. It won't haul as big a load as the de Havilland Beaver, but does just about everything else better. It flies faster and it burns less fuel. It outperforms the Beaver in a climb. Plus, it has better range on a tank of fuel. The Cessna 185 has been around for 40 years, so it's also tried and true. And many pilots feel that's important when comparing it against the new kit-build models. The amphibian version gives you the best of both worlds. With the flick of a switch, the gear extends and you can have a fully functional land plane. And there's nothing simpler to operate than a quadricycle landing gear. 4 wheels are better than 3 for maintaining control on a runway in crosswinds. For me, you can't beat access to a paved highway for fueling, maintenance, and leaving the plane overnight.
Good. Full flap.
My destination today is Telegraph Cove, and I've decided to leave the airplane at the Port McNeill Airport, which is only 10 minutes north of the seaside village. For the past 150 years, both the salmon and the forestry industry have been closely intertwined on Canada's west coast, but nowhere can that be seen more than in this 100-year-old quaint little town of Telegraph Cove. It started off because years ago, they were salting salmon to ship over to Japan, but they needed boxes. So for the boxes, they ended up building a mill to mill the logs to make the boxes. Well, what happened was depression came along and the salmon business closed down, but they still had the mill. The mill operated for another 60 years, and this became predominantly a mill town until the mill closed. And the town had to reinvent itself as a tourist destination. Now, as a tourist destination, people are coming from all over North America, in fact, all over the world, to get in these boats and go out and fish for salmon. But there's something else out there that's interested in the salmon, and that's the orca killer whales.
Telegraph Cove was started in the early 1900s by a gentleman. His name was Fred Westell. His wife's name was Emma. He built a sawmill just across on the other side of Telegraph Cove. And the little cabins along the boardwalk that you see today, he built for his workers so that they had a place to live.
So these were all for workers?
That's correct.
Were there families in here?
There was actually quite a community here at one time.
What year was this?
This would have been 1908 and on, and there was probably 100+ people living here at one time.
You can come here and actually stay in a little bit of history, right?
You can. Telegraph Cove Resort, which is owned by Gordy and Marilyn Graham, started up in 1980, and they took the cabins and renovated them very nicely into accommodation for tourists. They come, they fall in love with the area, and of course the whole catalyst of this is the orca.
Doug Sandilands is formerly of Lethbridge, Alberta. He has one of those one-of-a-kind jobs that everyone dreams of having. He gets to spend much of his life out on the waters of Johnstone Strait, but at the same time, he's protecting the very habitat of the orca whales. So basically what's happening is this is a real hotbed for salmon.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's what the stirring up of the currents is what draws a lot of the fish, including salmon, to this part.
So it starts with the food chain, smaller fish, the salmon, and then
killer whales.
The killer whales, which is why you're here.
Yeah, that's right.
And your job is unbelievable. You are the custodian of an area that these whales come to clean themselves. Or what do they do?
Well, it's the Robson Bight Ecological Reserve, Robson Bight Michael Big Ecological Reserve, and it's an area where killer whales come to both feed on the salmon and rub on the beaches that are spread throughout the ecological reserve. And no one's really sure why they rub on the beaches, but it's probably not to clean themselves.
Well, we don't know. So
we don't know, but I mean, a lot of people have made good guesses. And
what's
probably
your guess?
The guess is it feels good. You know, it seems to be quite a social activity. It's a culturally transmitted behavior where year after year the young ones learn about beach rubbing. Could take, you know, part of a courtship ritual or something as well, but no one's 100% sure until we can ask them, I suppose.
Look at this Devon, look at this accident right here. It looks like the end of the world here. Are we going to get drawn into that? Look at it.
Yeah, that's all the kelp.
Kelp fins.
Yeah.
Wow.
If we were in a bigger boat, we'd be a little concerned right now, but we draw about 6 inches, so we should be fine. I'll lift the engine up.
Well, I'm concerned.
DVD copies of this show and all 172 episodes of the Wings Over Canada series are available, singly or in box sets at wingsovercanada.ca, or give us a call toll-free at 1-866-909-4647.